Good morning. It's Sunday. Oh, boy. I want to welcome you all to a live podcast hosted by me. I'm Bob Pace, and here are the Fight CPS and Keep Our Children. Yes, that's right. CPS, the Child Protection System, is a horrific place you want to be in. They're more corrupt than any other government agency that I know of. And not only do they traffic your children to foster care, they kidnap them, they take them. They're professional kidnappers. The Child Protection Service is professional kidnappers. And it's sad to say because it's something that we really need. They're supposed to protect our children from neglect or abuse, but they haven't. They haven't done that for us. It's a sad state of affairs. Um, Danielle, yay, Danielle. Oh my God, yeah. Good morning, Danielle.
Good morning. Were you awake? Or did I wake you up?
Oh, you wake me up. Been
Did
up
you get a
since
message from me? Oh,
well, I was, but I got sidetracked with the show.
oh, oh. I know I was like, I even had to ask Google what time it was out there in California just to make sure before I messaged you.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah, it's a little after 8. I
Did you get
started
my
the
message
show.
just now?
Maybe I haven't looked.
Okay,
Oh
I was
boy,
like, are you
we have Okima on. Oh my goodness. Good
okay?
morning. Good morning. Good morning. And
Yeah.
good morning, Okima Richardson. Wow.
Good morning.
Anyway, uh, I want to welcome you all. This is live. We're on this podcast 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. And
Mhm.
we usually come on at 10 a.m. in the morning for an hour Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. In the evening for an hour Pacific Standard Time.
So that'd be 1 o'clock Eastern time and 10 o'clock Eastern time.
Yes,
One.
KK, we're trying to figure. I mean, you're in Brooklyn, New York. We know that,
Yep.
and you have
Yep.
Okima, KK,
Okay.
Kima. It's we're trying to keep track of things.
I do have a Microsoft Word document that I type everybody in and where they're from. I did start that, so
Good, good. Well, Okima Richardson is from Brooklyn, New York, and she has several aliases.
okay,
So she goes by Kima or KK.
okay.
Uh, I
And
forgot what her.
it didn't she call last night on the podcast? On the
Yeah, I
phone,
think she
her.
did. She said that she has
Okay,
a rough morning. What is it? What is your rough morning about? What has
what's
happened with you?
right? I know it's raining in Georgia. I mean, that's rough. It's rough here. It rained out of nowhere. Like it was. I mean, it's pouring rain now. Like and they wanted us to go dig a hole for a water line. Like that was crazy.
Oh,
I was like,
well,
yeah,
in
I'm gonna do
California it
it.
never rains, so I don't have
He
to
has
worry about rain.
CPS has violated the court order that was just written on the 21st of this month. That by it's your baby's birthday this weekend, is it? You don't have visitation. Is that what you're talking about? Oh, yeah, they did violate it because they're going against or taking her visits away, ain't they? Oh, and I know she's got a birthday or something coming up. I think. Oh,
That is tough. That is
it's
tough.
yeah. When's Father's Day? Is it this weekend or next weekend? It's her birthday.
I don't know. I don't know.
But I'm supposed to be involved in therapeutic sessions with the therapist, and yeah, and you know, I'm in my case, I don't get to attend, and yeah, they're not giving you the information for the Zoom. I'm going through the same thing about the Zoom link. They tell me every month they're going to send it to me, and it's been 12 months and I still ain't sat in a meeting.
And he's an adult.
Yep.
How far along are you on your custody
the
for
guardianship?
guardianship? How far along are you?
It's supposed to be great. We'll find out on June 22nd. So
Oh
it's coming
wow,
up. So that's going to be the
they're
that's
gonna
going to
try
be.
to milk everything they can out of your son. That is
Oh
terrible.
yeah, and the thing is what we requested as far as the guardianship, I've already got like the game plan, like what my parenting plan is gonna be for him, like the routine, how I'm gonna get him to these places, where at school he's gonna go to, my aunt's involvement, and there's some other community members, and that there's a big support to get him home. Like they are all about because it's been way too long. Like this he needs to come home and graduate from a school that he's known, and a lot of people are starting to find out, like in the community, like where's he been, and well, now they're finding out he's in Texas. And yeah, because my own family my dad don't even call him and talk to him. My dad has not seen him since my mother died. Like he kicks my son to the curb and like wishes him the best of luck, I guess. I don't know, but I'll ask these questions when my son comes home,
I
right
know
now
you're
my focus
disappointed.
is
Kima,
yeah.
I
Oh,
know
I'm
you are disappointed. I
oh,
feel for you.
very happy.
If I was there
She's
and put an armor on your shoulder, it's so hard
oh yeah,
what you're going through.
and
The
and
ups
there
and
we
downs of CPS is terrible. It
that
really
is a
is
once in a
terrible.
lifetime event, right? And then like my son's situation, I want him to graduate from his school that he's been, the one he's known in the county that he's grown up in, and I hope that I'm fighting to get him home in time. I'm
Yeah.
hoping he's right there at the senior year. He was supposed to graduate with my daughter, my oldest. They were supposed to be walking, but that I might have missed her graduation.
For you that have just joined or first time in here, there's some housekeeping things I want to talk about. One is that since we're a live podcast, we take comments. That is one way you can interact with this podcast. All you have
Mm-hmm.
to do is text in your comments about your CPS. It could be a question, it could be about your case or another CPS matter. We want to focus on child protection system. Now,
Mm-hmm.
also, please show your name, city, state, or country and be complete with your CPS case. So that way we don't have to go back and forth piece by piece. So uh, it's very, very important. Now, you probably see the word country. Yes, our show is seen worldwide. It's on YouTube. We use the StreamYard application, but everybody has Facebook worldwide. And when they
Mm-hmm.
type in Fight CPS, they'll come up with one of the podcasts, and I'm one of them. And I welcome you to you. I'm
Mm-hmm.
a family loving father with 6 kids, and Danielle is a loving mother with 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And
One
we
who's in
both
this.
have been involved with CPS, the
Mm-hmm.
Child Protection System. It's different names in different states. So, when I reference the Child Protection System, if you're in Arizona, it's DCS. If you're in Georgia, it's
DFCS, Department of Family and Children, Division of Family and Children
yeah.
Services.
And in other
DFCS.
states, it's different names. So instead of trying to say
DSS.
20 different names, I'm just going to say Child Protection System. That
CPS.
refers to the branch of social services that was enacted by government. Well, it's been rejuvenated because it started in the 1600s, the colonial days. That's what
Mm-hmm.
they claim. And then it got changed in 1875 and then again in 1962. So there's 3 parts to the child protection system, 3 history parts. We're in the third part. So really, we need to deal with the present. And it's horrible. It is so horrible. I mean, I don't need to emphasize who those ladies are with the pink t shirts. Those are social workers in CPS. And on the proudly wearing their t shirts, these social workers in Prescott, Arizona in 2022
Oh yeah, behind.
say that they're professional kidnappers.
Yep.
What does that tell you, you parents out there? And on the back of the t shirts, they say, "Do you know where your children are at?" It's like they're implying they're out there professionally kidnapping your children,
Mm-hmm.
kidnapping your children. So this is awful. this is a statement made by CPS, and all of you have to deal with it. Good morning, David Nelson. Can we do anything to help? I feel so redeemed. Our case was based on faults never proven. While in place a group home, he overdosed. Oh my God, your child overdosed 5 times. Oh, geez. We'd
Wow.
love to hear more about your story, David. We also like to know where you're from. Where you're from, David. We'd love to hear success stories. If you have a success story, Kima, who's on before you, is going through a horrible time. She was promised something back in May of
Mm.
21st, and now it was canceled. Her visitations are further destroyed. You're from Arizona. I was just
Hey,
talking
Faye.
about Arizona. Do you
Yeah.
know about the Pink Ladies in Prescott, Arizona, that proudly
Okay.
wore these T-shirts that said "professional kidnappers"? And do you know where your children are at? They parade around in public. They were fired, including the director, and it was all 8 of them in Prescott. Hi,
Mm-hmm.
Faye. Glad
Hey,
to
Faye.
have you here.
How old is your son, David?
Yeah, he says he has been sober a year and 3 months. Good. I think he has. Maybe David has. Congratulations, David, and welcome. It's so nice. Uh, you're from
He's 17.
17. Okay.
Wow.
Well,
Oh,
those are hard
I-
years. Those are really
yeah.
hard years. So anyway, some of you have figured this out. You type in and you put the city or state or country. Now, the countries we've had shown interest have been Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, Ghana in South America,
Mm-hmm.
North Brazil, east of Venezuela. There's
Hey,
been
Faye.
Mexico, and then
Mm-hmm.
there has been Mozambique. And
Yeah.
Mozambique is on the east side of Africa, above South Africa, below Somalia, across from Madagascar. So, and then last we had Denmark. So we've had people from other countries. So
UK
it's
Wells.
like that. So please use that option to text in your message. Another way that you can talk to us. By the way, I want to officially welcome Danielle. I don't know if I did or not, but I apologize. But Danielle's my co-host, and she's from Georgia.
I.
And then go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm good. Faye's joined us. I see.
Yeah, I will say hello to Faye. Another way to participate in this podcast live is to call in to 626
Mm-hmm.
698 0990. That's the number. If I put up other numbers, it's my mistake. But anyway, it's 626 698 0990. You can call in and talk about your case. You won't have your camera on, but you have your voice on speakerphone.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, anything more, David, that you want to talk about your case? Kima, is there a question or anything that you need to ask or what we want to do there? Faye, do you know of any topic or would you like to talk on the show? It's been a while
Um,
since you talked on the podcast. So if you like to talk. Um, anyway, a third way that you can work on this podcast is you can be a guest like Danielle, but she's more of a host. But I can have up to 9 people on this
mm-hmm.
podcast. So if you want to schedule a time to be on the podcast, it's important that you contact our show producer. Her name is
Mm-hmm.
Grace, and she can be emailed at grace@vincentwdavis.com.
Can we take the
That's if you
disc?
want to be a guest. And all you have to do is pick Monday through Sunday, one of those 7 days, in either morning or afternoon show, and you gladly be on our podcast. I'd love to have you. I'd love to have you there. So that is another way you email to our producer, show producer, Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Also, like to thank you at this time to Mr. Davis, who produces this podcast. And he tells me you can call him at 888-888-5582, 6582. Why did I say 55? Let me try that again. It's 888-888-6582. And speak to Mr. Davis. Now, when you call that number, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. And then when you talk to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. He likes to hear that. Also, when you call in, he will talk to you. He has a consultation right now of 30 minutes that he will talk to you
Oh,
for $60. 30 minutes for $60. So that's all you have to do is 888-888-6582. Something happened with Danielle. I heard and then something happened. So uh
something just blew up outside of my house, and it just had
oh
a flash, and it just made my
okay.
screen. Yeah, that's weird, but it just shook
Yeah,
my house.
could be electrical outage or something. You
I
say
think
you have rain, so
transformer just, yeah,
yeah.
transformer just, that's what it looked like. It just, there we go. That was,
Now David has a question here.
can we,
Let me put my phone number back up here.
okay. Please.
All right. David's question is, can we take the Department of Child Services, the CPS uh, system in Arizona office as a
As a,
whole to federal court where they're not immune? The caseworkers have broken my wife down, continue to degrade her mental health, and she did nothing wrong. Yes, David, you can sue civilly CPS. They're not above that. You can sue them at the
no,
federal level and also the state level. The federal level is a lot better because the court systems
yeah,
are better and they're more knowledgeable, and there's more of your rights in the federal than there is in the
right,
civil. I mean, in the state. So you can. What you need to
right,
do, and we have an attorney here, Mr. Davis, has done civil lawsuits against CPS, has worked. If your case is over and your constitutional or civil rights were violated, you can call in. And, well, we lost Danielle. She's had internet problems. You can call in and talk to Mr. Davis about it. There are other attorneys, and how you want to word it, David, is that you want to search and want to arrange your words. So you want to say find in, and I don't know what city you're in, Arizona. I think if you're in Phoenix, that's a big enough city. If you're in a small city like Prescott, you need to say find in Prescott and Phoenix, Arizona, if if Prescott's your city, and you want to search a uh, a CPS uh, a CPS civil attorney, a CPS civil attorney, and you'll be able to find one. Also, you can talk to Mr. Davis for $60, and he can tell you about how to do a lawsuit. He gives you 30 minutes so he can do that. So it'll be worth it, David, for 30 minutes to talk to Vincent Davis. You just call 888-888-6582. Also, I have a web calendar that you could put in. Let me see here. Right there, you could type in um, that into the web address. You want to start off with candidly.com/law office of VWD/Bob Pace. It will take you to his calendar. You can schedule a consultation with him. So that's how you can find out more about how to do a lawsuit. They usually, and I'm not saying this is true for Vincent Davis, but it's typically 30% of what you sue them for. So if you win award of $10 million, you get 30. He'll get 30% of that, which 30% of that, I think it's 3 million, I guess. I'm just guessing. But anyway, um, I know how you feel, David. You did nothing wrong because in my case, it was terrible. I had a CPS case. It started with me when I first lost my job in 2010. I was 60 years old, and I had in laws. They're lay people that were using uh, CPS to alienate me from my children. They were saying things that weren't true. That's the problem with lay people. They use CPS for their own gain. If you have a neighbor that doesn't like your dog barking, they will call you and say you have a CPS matter. I mean, they'll say you're beating up your kids or something like that. People, use that. I think that all people that allege neglect or abuse should write it in writing and sign their name to it. I know there's this thing about afraid to give your name, but the name can be kept confidential. And then if they are lying, then they can be used to be a lawsuit. So it's hard because my case, my kids were at school when they took them, which is wrong. They weren't in extreme danger. They weren't in extreme danger. We didn't do drugs or all the stuff the normal thing. They were saying that we're neglect because my parents' belongings were stacked at my home. What happened? My parents were dying, and I took their belongings and I was packing them up and shipping out to family and friends and dispose of because they're getting rid of their home. Well, I took all the things to my home. I didn't have funds at the time because I was laid off to put them in storage. So I used my house, which I had a fairly big house. So, David, I don't think that your wife should hike alone because strange things have happened to people. Um, I know she wants to go public, but she's a wonderful woman. She should not hike alone. I am a very much an outdoor person, been so all my life. I've traveled around the world, lived in a bag for 25 years. I've been to almost every country in the world, and I've done a lot of hikes in the high Sierras in California and hikes in Grand Canyon and so forth. The number one rule, the same thing goes for surfing. You do not surf alone. You do not swim alone. You do not hike alone. I know it's a sense of freedom, but there are always things that can happen. There could be wild animals like surfing, it could be a shark, or you can run into other wild animals that can kill you. In the woods, there's the bears, there's the wolves, there's mountain lions. I don't need to tell you anything more. So please do not have her go alone. She needs to go with you or somebody else and stuff that. I know she may be a hunter, but so is CPS. CPS, if you saw when Danielle was on, Danielle had the pink shirts. And on there, are professional kidnappers. That's from Prescott. I don't know how far Prescott's from you, but those social workers are bad. Those social workers are bad. They will do things. I've heard horrible stories about people being killed. So please don't. You know, it's like I respect the wild. I can live in the wild. I mean, you could drop me off an airplane any place in the world and I will survive. But I'm recommending that no one goes off alone. I mean, it is sad. It's sad. I know you're trying to prove something there, but it isn't safe. It isn't worth it. It isn't worth it. And if she runs into a bear or into a mountain lion, mountain lions are really in Arizona something you have to worry about because they will jump from trees and they will claw you. They are strong, dangerous animals. There are also wolves in Arizona. I've seen the wolves. I camped in the Grand Canyon, And if come out, the wolves are bad. And the wolves will. So you got wolves and mountain lions in Arizona. I don't mean to emphasize this, David, but if you love your wife and your wife loves her son and loves you, she shouldn't go off alone. I don't care how good of a hunter she is. Even with me, I don't go off alone. I don't surf alone. I don't swim alone. And I certainly don't hike alone. I'm not a loner anyway. So you have mountain lions and wolves in Kentucky? Great. I don't really know the animals you have in Kentucky except maybe bears. I think you have black bears. You don't have grizzly bears. We still have grizzly bears in California. I don't know if the last one is found, but I know that up north in Alaska, they have grizzly bears, and I tell you, they're bear. But a black bear can be just as bad as a grizzly bear or brown bear. They're just bad. So anyway, I have my number up. It's 626-698-0990. And I'd love for someone to call in and share their CPS case and so forth. I have talked a little bit about my case. What happened is that these lay people, my relatives, in-laws, the whole family, for 5 years said stuff that wasn't true. And I met the social workers. I even let them inspect my home. They found nothing. But then 5 years later, they hired, I don't think they hired, but anyway, they got a hold of the police department, had a detective follow me from me picking up one of my kids. And he had a black and white unit that pulled me over. And then he talked to me and said, "You need to come home." I did not know the laws. I wish I never came home. I should have said, "You guys, you pulled me over, give me a ticket for a traffic violation. If I'd done something illegal, arrest me." Because I didn't know my rights. I did not know my rights. So I went and followed them home. And it was terrible because in front of the home was all these people, like I'd done something awful. And it was crazy. They had 5 firemen, 2 code enforcement, 3 social workers, 2 uniformed policemen, and the detective. And I live in a private community. I thought maybe my house had burned down. I thought maybe, someone had robbed or something like that. And they insisted to see my home, and I should have said no. I should have not spoken to them and told them I'm getting a hold of my attorney and he will talk to them. But like a fool, I trusted them. I didn't have the knowledge I have now and allowed them to come to my home. And my home had been inspected before, nothing was found. But this time they did not find anything, but they said, "Well, you have those boxes stacked up or that furniture stacked up. We know it's with your mom and dad you lost, but we think that could endanger the kids. You're being neglected by having your house with," they said, "clutter of my parents' belongings." Now, my children's rooms were completely safe, and there's no furniture or boxes up there. They had their own bed. It was clean. They had their own bathroom. The eating area was clear. There was nothing that they were talking about. They were looking for something. I mean, the code enforcement couldn't find anything wrong except a loose gate, and my yard was overgrown and it needed trimming. Well, I said I couldn't afford my landscaper anymore. So I have to do the yard work myself. And I had a big lot, a big yard and stuff. The gate was easy. I just tightened the screws. But that's not making the children in danger or anything like that. The fire people measured my smoke alarms, tested them, tested my fire extinguishers. They couldn't find anything wrong. They were properly installed. The code enforcement went and checked the back door to the swimming pool to make sure it was locked and the child couldn't get out there. They checked the gate around the pool. Nothing wrong there. I mean, no one could really find anything except the idea that I'm being negligent by having boxes of furniture stacked downstairs. And so they took my children. They went to the schools and picked them. And they called that imminent danger, which was stupid. I did not know that. I could have fought it. I could have fought it. Oh, Your wife lives now 3 years in Alaska. Well, where do you live? Do you live in Alaska with her and your 17-year-old? I'm confused, David. And Alaska does have grizzly bears. I mean, there was one guy that was a friend of the grizzly bears. The guy, he took his girlfriend, and the grizzly bear ate them both. I mean, he had live broadcasts of the grizzly bear. So no matter how you think, I mean, there are danger that lurks. There's danger that lurks everywhere. You can't run risks. Irwin, who was an Australian crocodile zookeeper, wilderness kind of guy, was killed because he came in close proximity with a stingray. A stingray has a barb that's real sensitive. The species he was following flipped up the barb, went through his heart, and ripped it, and he couldn't be saved. He died on the transport. But he left his children. He left his 2 children, and left a beautiful wife. So I'm telling you, David, don't let your wife go outdoors by herself. I don't know how to say it. But anyway, my case got worse because when they took my children, they put them into a foster care shelter. Well, the shelter happened to be next door to the Juvenile Bureau of Prisons, or the juvenile prisons, and their play yard was next to the play yard for the shelter. And the kids were exposed to juveniles. That's not protection. Also, the yard area was exposed to beehives, and bees were attacking the children. The place was dirty, it was cluttered, the food was terrible, and they slept on top of each other. That was not putting my children in safety. That was the child protection system trafficking my child, alienating my child, which are both against the law. And then they're collecting $20,000 times 3, which is $60,000 a month they were collecting with my children in their custody. It's a $50 billion business a year. The states, it's $50 billion. It's in there for making money. They make money all kinds of things. They get the money from the state. The state gets it from the federal government. So my case was awful. It was the most horrific thing I went through. It lasted 3 years. And that leads me to my rule number 1. Rule number 1 is you have to fight them with an attorney. Not fight them, you got to fight them. And it will not work. The attorney that you get, your case appointed attorney will not suffice. They are very poorly trained. They don't have much time. They have a caseload of 30 or more clients. They only see the day of the hearings. They don't know, and they won't fight like a real attorney will. So forget about the court-appointed attorney. Also, you're better off being your own attorney and talking to the judge. You see, once you get an attorney, you can't talk to the judge. You have to go through your attorney. That's the way it's set up there. But to find an attorney is not that hard. You do have to spend some time on the internet. And I'm going to use the example here of Georgia. To find, and you may want to type in a pro bono, which means attorney for no charge, since money may be a problem. But to find an attorney in Athens, which is a small town in Georgia, and the next big town is Atlanta, Georgia. To find in Athens and Atlanta, Georgia, a pro bono dependency attorney, a dependency attorney. That's your key buzzwords, pro bono dependency attorney. Find in Athens and Atlanta, Georgia. You will see a list of 10 names. And you're going to, or more. And all you need to do is pick 10. And with that 10, you call every one of them to find out if they're still in business by calling them. Secondly, if they're pro bono, you ask them, are they pro bono? Thirdly, if they fought in dependency court with a CPS case, make sure you mention dependency and CPS together. And have they got back to children of clients that have had their children taken from there? So those are important questions to have because you're trying to find five attorneys that you have consultation with. One of them already given you. It's Vincent W. Davis. And he will be one of those five you talk to. And you're going to have consultation with those attorneys. And hopefully when you call into them and they talk to you, set an appointment to talk to them, make sure you tell them what your case is about and how important it is. Now, Vincent will go to other states. He will practice law in other states. He does Northern California, and just recently he was at Oklahoma, but he will go there. There is a cost for his per diem, his transportation, getting there, his transportation around the town, his accommodations while he's there. Those are all added expenses that he needs to include in his retainer. His retainer is based on your case, your complexity of your case, how long the case has been going on. But he's very fair, and he'll give you a fair amount, and he will fight for your kids. He's a fighter. He's a trial attorney. He's been doing it for over 35 years, and he has sued CPS civilly and won cases both in the state and the federal system. He has won civil cases, so he is a fighter. And so you need to talk to those five people. Good morning, Maribel of Venezuela. Can you fight for your grandchildren once they are adopted? Well, if you allow the mother to lose her parental rights to their children or the father, then it's very hard for anybody to fight them because they're being adopted. You could possibly, if they're being abused, bring up allegations against them and fight for you to get custody. Good morning, Maribel. I don't know where you're from, Maribel, Venezuela, but I'd like to tell you if you can. Anyway, Odessa, Texas. Okay, welcome, Odessa, Texas. I'm glad to have you there. You can file civil lawsuits against an agency, but you got to get an attorney. And when children are adopted, when they're formally adopted, that means the parents have given up their parental rights. And if they do bad, the foster parents, you can become a guardian of them. It all depends on the state and the laws. Again, it involves attorney. Everything you guys talk about involves attorney. Think about it. Let's say you have to do open heart surgery and you need a valve replaced. Would you sit there and cut open the chest and do it yourself? How about your neighbor? Would you have him cut open your chest? Or maybe you get an auto mechanic that works on cars. Would you have him open your chest? Or you can get a plumber. No. You're going to get a professional doctor, and CPS is just as bad as open heart surgery. You need a professional attorney to navigate the CPS. They're very deceptive. They're corruptive. They are not your friend. They're not transparent. They do revenge. They lie. They're just terrible, terrible entities. They don't like parents. They don't like grandparents. They don't like seniors. They don't like elders. They're anti. All they want to do is traffic your child into foster care so they get that money. To them, they're trying to do legal trafficking, and that's wrong. Trafficking anybody is wrong. Trafficking is wrong anybody. So please think about getting an attorney. I waited too long. I waited for a year. And my 3 kids that were stolen by CPS, I did get my sons back, but I didn't get my daughter. Because at age 12, she did the most horrible thing. And she was told by the social worker who told us that she was going to get revenge for us catching her lying in court, and her attorney nailed her, and she was so embarrassed. So what she did, she said to our 12-year-old child, you'll divorce your parents, you'll change your name, you'll be adopted by a foster care family, and you will seal your birth certificate. No one at age 12 knows that. And she was very naive and she sucked it all in, and that's what she did. That's what she did. Well, Faye, I know that your son wants to sue, and I think that's right. You need to tell those attorneys, the right ones, the civil rights attorneys, the CPS civil rights attorneys out there, they can get a hefty chunk of money, 30% of what you sue an agency for. You have the documentation, Faye. You have a good case for a lawsuit and everything. Good morning, Natia. She's from West Hollywood. She's from, well, you may have to get an outstate attorney. You may have to get an outstate attorney, Faye. You talk to Vincent Davis. You're a guest on his podcast. Talk to him at 888-888-6582. And, you can try to do that. So we have Faye from Richmond, Kentucky. We have Nadia from West Hollywood, California. We have Maribel Venezuela from Odessa, Texas. We have David Nelson from Arizona. Let me see who else we have in here. We have Akima from Brooklyn, New York. And we had Danielle from Georgia, my co-host, but she has a storm brewing and they knocked out her internet. She saw a flash and she's gone. So it's just me for the rest of my time. I have about 18 minutes left. I'd love to have a phone call with someone like to talk at 626-698-0990. Happy birthday to your daughter who's 15. I wish you could see you there. Okay, Jessica Sutton's from Oklahoma. Welcome, Jessica. Glad to have you. Oh, God, Natalie's tumor was hurting. I'm sorry to hear that, Natalie. It's so sorry. You guys go through so much with CPS, let alone your own personal ailments and so forth. But when my daughter was taken from us, and when she divorced us, it's the worst feeling. She's 21 now. She doesn't live with her foster care. She got rid of them. I don't know the reason. But I encouraged my sons to see her. So she sees her brothers. And she saw them last night. In fact, she came to my son's graduation. And she couldn't see me or, want to talk to me or her mother. It's so sad when a child does that. But she was there for her brother. And that was good. And, But I tell you, getting an attorney made me get my sons home. My case lasted from 2015 to 2017. And it was horrific. I've been doing this for 14 years fighting them. Oh, really? You can? Wow, that's great. You should take him. I imagine your daughter loved to see it. Her daughter's a teenage. She needs a mother to talk about things. Age 15 girls are experiencing things that mothers can help them with. So, yes, in a stroller, I can imagine that. In a stroller, the cat and the dog in a stroller. As long as they don't fight. Anyway, I wish I could help you guys, one and every one of you. I'm not a lawyer, but I have experience, and I can tell you firsthand about things. That's why I have my rule number 1, get an attorney. I have rule number 2, which is a very important rule, is that you don't answer the door. You don't talk to social workers. You don't talk to police. You don't let the police in your home. You don't let them do a search in your home. You don't let CPS in your home. And you do not give up your children in your home or whether you're at the hospital. Let's say there's medical trafficking, it goes on all the time. There are CPS caseworkers working in the hospital, and they will gladly take your child. There's two types that they take them from. They take them when you birth a child, and they come marching in the birthing room and grab the child. That's illegal. That's wrong. They have to have a court order to do that. The other type of trafficking, medical trafficking, is that if the doctor diagnosed something and you say you want to see another doctor for a second opinion or their pediatrician, that's your medical right. You shouldn't be penalized. Social workers will step in and take your child. So they take your child when you're giving birth and take your child when you bring them in to get better. It's horrible out there. I want you to know that. These guys are really bad. They're really, really bad. Your son's in Oregon. That's a long haul to go. Yeah. Yep. Doctor neglected my daughter. Yep. So, rule number 3, and I don't emphasize it. Daniel's not here, but she had a picture of a young man at 23 that was gunned down. He was an airman. He was a veteran. He was serving in the United States Air Force. And he was off that day on May 3rd. And the sheriff from Gainesville, Florida, which is, I hear, a rough area with all kinds of killings and knifings and shootings. Gainesville, Florida is not a safe place. But the sheriff, the dispatcher got a call that there was a commotion going on, and the manager at the apartment complex called in and said that she could hear slapping and sounds from domestic dispute. So the sheriff is dispatched, and the woman meets her, but then she says she's not sure if it's that apartment or not. So instead of the guy knocking firmly and being away from the front of the door and identifying who he was and what they were doing, he attempts to knock first. Bam, bam, bam. Says nothing. Well, that scared the guy on the other side. That guy went and got his handgun, and he had a license for it. And he thought maybe someone was trying to break in. He didn't know what. And the officer knocked a second time and gruffly said, "This is the sheriff." But it was not he should have said, and this is what the officer is trained, but he didn't do it. First of all, you don't approach a door, because if a guy is with a gun there, he's going to shoot through the door and kill you, sheriff. You want to check your surroundings. You want to see if there's a way of getting in the apartment or looking through an open window to see if there is that stuff going on. You want to listen. You want to put your ear to the wall, to the left of the door jamb. The outside of the door. So you're not facing the door, because if you're facing the door, you're dead. You're dusted. That guy with one shot could kill you. You're at close quarters there. So you want to do a firm knock. Identify you are the sheriff at the Gainesville Sheriff Station, and you're here to investigate a domestic squabble. And you want to come in. Now, what you could have further said, sheriff, and you could have done this to the left side of the door jamb, scoring low, unlock the door. If you have a weapon, put it away from you, lay face down, and put your hands behind your head. So that way he can unlock the door, swing it open slowly, peer around to the right and look in. And he has his gun, and he could have, defended himself if the guy shot first. But if the guy's on the floor and the gun is away from him, then all he has to do is kick the gun further away, squat over him, handcuff him so his hands are behind his head, and that way you restrain him, and then go look at the rest of the apartment for anybody else in there. But these sheriffs, I guess, didn't go to Sheriff School 101. I don't know what sheriff school they go to. And not only that, when the guy did open the door, which he should never have, the sheriff point blankly fired 5 shots because he saw a gun at the side of the man. And that is sad. He was talking on FaceTime to his girlfriend, and she had to watch on FaceTime him being shot and killed and hear him moan and groan. The sheriff was so bad. It was so bad. It's unthinkable. They're investigating, but I didn't see much in the news, and it seems like everything else. The family has one of the top attorneys in the country, and hopefully he will get something that can stop this needless shooting of people all the time. So the rule number 3 is do not answer the door. Think about that. Hide somewhere. Go in the closet. You don't need to answer the door. What's on the other side can wait. They need a court order to enter your home or to take your child. They just can't arbitrarily take your child. I was a fool. I let my guard down, and I'm trying to share my experience. Oh, good. You had a sobering night. Well, I don't know if there's too much noise there. Yep, you have shootings in West Hollywood, so that's definitely bad. That's bad. Yep. West Hollywood always has lots of crazy people. I've been through there many, many, many times. Well, further on rule number 3 is you don't talk to them. It's yes, no answers. If you're outside and they say, we need to inspect your home, and you say no, you don't have to give an explanation. And if they keep pressing you or if it gets uncomfortable, just say, look, I need to speak to my attorney. I will get back to you. Please give me your business card. If they don't have it, look at the officer's badge number. Look at the Social Security worker, the CPS worker, and see the badge and so forth. Gather the information and you can get back to them. Meanwhile, you're going to have to talk to an attorney and tell them what you do, because they're going to try to nail things when they search your home. When you say too much, they'll use it against you. When they search your home, they will find something in your home that could physically harm the children or neglect. But it's really sad. So don't let them in. And don't allow medical trafficking. Do not allow them to take your child away when you just gave birth. Again, use your civil rights. Use your constitutional rights. I know they don't think about them. They think it's bad. Yes, and don't answer the police. The police is the same way. No need to. You can get back to them. There's no need to. What they hoping you answer so they can trick themselves to come in the home. So with that said, the answer is no, not in my home, and no, not take your children. A court order, is a legal document the judge puts out with the name of you, the date and time that they can expect your house, the address, the names of the children, and the allegations. That all has to be. It's called a warrant, and it describes what they can do: inspect your home, take your child, those kinds of things. You have to abide by the warrant. But a lot of times they lie and they don't have a warrant, or they have an old one that they've copied. So it's very, very important. So remember this: no to social workers, police, and don't let them into your life. Don't let them take your children. Don't let them inspect your home. There'll be a time to inspect the home and so forth after you get an attorney. It's very important that you get an attorney. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 3 is say no, and don't let them take your child. It's no, and don't let them take your child. So it's very, very important. We have one more other rule. Again, I want to remind everybody, please text in comments, or if you want to make a phone call. And I don't have much time, so I'm going to take the phone down because we only have about 5 minutes left. And so I will still take comments and so forth. So I got to put that back up. Rule number 2, which is between 1 and 3, is the paperwork things of CPS. CPS is important to keep paperwork because we read lots of it. And you need to create a notebook. And I recommend a 6-inch wide notebook with 3 rings. And you stuff it full of college rule notebook paper. And you buy dividers, subject dividers, and you label them. And one of the first labels should be the incident label. That way you list all the incidents that take place with your case, whether with the police, the social workers, something related to the CPS case. And you start off with the date and time on the first line, and to the right of the date and time, you put the people involved. Who is involved? The children, the social worker, the police, whatever. You need to write the people involved there. And so that is it. And then after the second line, you write in what the incident was about. It may take 2 lines, 3 lines, take them. What was the incident about? And then after that, you want to put down the conclusion. What was the outcome? What was the outcome of the incident? If you don't know it, you may have to fill it in later. But you put that in, then you skip a couple lines, and you got the next incident and so forth, the next incident. And you keep doing this until you fill it. You got more paper you can add and so forth. But 6 months from now, a year from now, you won't remember. So that's why it's important you write it down. It's very important. And like a fool, I didn't, because it could have helped me later on, because it can help you out with your attorney, what you know about the case or whatever like that. So make sure you get that notebook. And other subject matters could be a listing of all the parenting classes and programs that you attended, or the clinical psychiatrist that you attended. Anything related importance to your case, you could make a separate tab for that. A third tab would be info. It's where you want to put websites and information about CPS, phone numbers, the notes that I've told you and so forth. So you want to include that. You can do other subject tabs real easy. As I say, you do it so it works for you. And you need to know, you got to have knowledge. You have to key knowledge, because they're tricksters. They're tricksters. They will trick you. They will cheat you out. They will hurt you. I don't know. You guys are all hurting because of CPS. I still hurt because my daughter, I could not see her. She was like in the proximity of the area. My 20-year-old daughter. My 2 sons still live at home, thank God. But, it's like, where's my family? I love all my family. I love all my children. And I want you all to make sure you take good notes, because you'll need that later on when you hire an attorney, or you need to refresh a year or 2 from now. It's the most important piece of documents, the paperwork. So I covered my 3 rules, which were from my experience. And yes, Faye, I know it's going to be going soon there. So thank you, Faye, for listening and being there. And I know you can't see your daughter. I'm so sorry, Natalie. I know how you feel for it. But don't forget to find an attorney, a professional dependency attorney. Don't forget to take good notes, write things down, and say no to social workers. And don't let them in your home or take your children. I want to thank my co-host, Danielle, who internet went off. Thank you. I want to thank Nadia from West Hollywood for coming in. Faye from Richmond, Kentucky for joining in. Who else? We have so we had a name that I missed. Jessica Sutton from Oklahoma. Thank you, Kim In. You didn't say much, but I'll be on tonight at 7 o'clock, you guys, 7 p.m. But Jessica, thank you. You're a new listener in here. Thank you, Maribel Venezuela, and she's from Odessa, Texas. Thank you for being there. Thank you, David Nelson from Arizona. And please have your wife not go out in alone, especially in Alaska. There are grizzly bears up there. They eat. Let me see, who else do we have? We had, Akima Richardson from Brooklyn, New York. I'm so proud of your daughter graduating from the 5th grade. That is so cool. And yes, it is. They should not try to push you out. You can go with a monitor. You should be able to see your daughter's 5th grade graduation. Again, thank you all. Keep fighting for your children. Don't give up hope. I know it sounds awful, but you should not give up hope. You will get your kids back. I pray to you all that will there. God bless you all. And again, I'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is Bob Pace from Southern California signing off.